Hello, welcome to the Lunch and Chat with Leslie broadcast. I'm your host, Leslie Parker. It is an honor to be able to stream informative, educational, and entertaining segments to you every Tuesday at 7 p.m. This is a new talk show that I put together for you and the community. History is valuable, it's important, and it's worthy of sharing. I will do my best tonight to provide some informative facts about the history of Juneteenth. So please join me if you can via Facebook. If you can't get on Facebook, join me via YouTube tonight to be part of this wonderful celebration of overcoming Juneteenth. And I guess you're wondering what prompted me to talk about Juneteenth. Well, believe it or not, I wasn't informed about Juneteenth until later on in my adult life. I didn't know about it in school because it wasn't taught to me. So I want to educate you tonight the best I can, some information I've researched, and I also will give credit to those authors that have given the valuable information. Why do they call it Juneteenth? Well, Juneteenth is a combination of June and the 19th, which is back in 1865 when it became official. It was a celebrated day based on the 155-year-old holiday celebrating the emancipation of African Americans from slavery in the United States. And because of that date, in 1865, there was a major General Gordon Granger of the Union Army. He marched into Galveston, Texas, with nearly 2,000 Union soldiers to announce the Civil War had ended and enslaved people were free. Well, the news that the Civil War had ended and slavery had been abolished and it did travel slowly, unfortunately, to the western edge of the former Confederate States. So upon his arrival in Galveston in Texas on June 19th, he officially declared the institution of slavery was dead, setting off a joyful display by Texas freedmen. Well, Granger's proclamation formed the basis of this annual Juneteenth festivities, which we celebrate the end of slavery in Texas. The Emancipation Proclamation actually was issued by President Abraham Lincoln on September the 22nd in 1862. So you understand now when I said that it traveled slowly, it wasn't actually ended in Texas until 1865. And you're going to find out later on when I give you some additional facts, how it still was a struggle even getting that passed. So again, the celebration of the end of slavery, it was a holiday that was celebrated in America, meaning that it was an ongoing struggle for Black equality in America. And unfortunately, we still are experiencing the struggle. Hopefully, through the grace of God, it will end. But, that's something that we seem to never get rid of is racism and inequality. So I'm just praying that, with everyone, all the races, eventually, if they would come together and see and understand what life was like for Black Americans during that time and what our ancestors went through. So again, I'm going to take you into the facts about Juneteenth. However, the history of freedom in the country, is tangled, and this is no exception. So here are some facts I'm going to present to you. You may recall, as I mentioned to you, the Abraham Lincoln Emancipation Proclamation from elementary school. I'm not sure if you remember that. I didn't get that in my studies, but it was supposed to have been, introduced to us in classroom time. So in a condensed version, this is by the author Cole Bragg, he said, many learned that the executed order meant immediate freedom for slaves throughout the nation. However, since the country was in the midst of a civil war, those states that had seceded from the Union did not adhere to the proclamation. And slaves in those states remained unfree, unfortunately. Though much of the language in the Emancipation Proclamation suggests otherwise, Lincoln's primary objective was not to get rid of the lives of the bondage or stop the bondage of slavery. Rather, his intent was to protect the Union. And let me go on. For example, in August of 1862, Horace Greeley, he was the editor of New York Times Tribune. He published an editorial addressed to Lincoln, presuming his stance on slavery and urging him to abolish it. Well, Lincoln responded in an open letter to Greeley, published in the Tribune, and from that same August, in other words. And this is what Lincoln said: "My paramount object in this struggle to save the Union to save the Union, and it's not either to save or destroy slavery." So Lincoln wrote, "What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union." So are you following me? Okay, this is fact number 3. Lincoln and the Union Army used slavery as a political motive to justify strengthened military endeavors against the Confederacy. Black soldiers were able to fight for the Union when Lincoln passed a proclamation. Though they faced discrimination and other performed menial roles because of the presumed incompetence that they thought they had, they increased the Union's army in size. Fact number 4. The Civil War ended in April of 1865. So in June of that year, General Gordon Granger, as I mentioned to you before, and his troops, they traveled to Galveston, Texas, to announce the General Orders number 3, that they called it. It stated, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free." Well, throughout the war, Texas was not as closely monitored as other battle states. So for this reason, many slave owners went to Texas with their slaves, with a relatively negligible Union presence. Slavery continued there for much longer, unfortunately, and after the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect, slaves in wartime states often escaped behind Union lines, or they fought on their behalf. The slaves who got the news were jubilant, obviously, about being free on Juneteenth. Well, in the book Lone Star Paris, there's a memory and history in Texas by Felix Haywood, a former slave who gave a testimony about Juneteenth as part of a New Deal project recall. And this is what he said: "The end of the war, it come just like that, like you snap your fingers. Hallelujah broke out. Soldiers all of a sudden was everywhere, coming in batches, coming in bunches and crossing and walking and riding. Everyone was a singing. We was all walking on golden clouds. Everyone went wild because of this," according to Felix Haywood. He said, "We were free just like that. We were free. Freedom did not come in the snap of fingers, unfortunately, for everyone in Texas. There still were some people who should have been freed. They continued to work through the harvest season because their masters, they didn't want to announce it to them because they wanted to reap the wages out of their slaves. This left many former slaves treated as though they were still in bondage, unfortunately." So in the Lone Star, Susan Meredith reported lots of Negroes were killed after freedom. They were bushwhacked, shot down while they were trying to get away. You could see lots of Negroes hanging from trees in Sabine, bottom right after freedom. So what did the slaves eat? Just to give you an example of what they ate. Weekly rations, usually cornmeal, lard. They had some meat. They had molasses, peas, grains, things of that nature. And the hours that they worked, sometimes they worked more hours than a day than anybody can imagine. They worked anywhere from 15 to 16 hours. So you can see the hard life that was given during that time. And that's why I say this history needs to be shared. Share it with your children. Again, share it with people of different a different color, different race, so they can understand the struggle a little bit more. Again, point number eight, I just have a couple more points, and I'm going to show you a short video, and then I'll be done. But point number eight, in the 1870s, a group of former slaves, they pooled together $800 to local churches to purchase 10 acres of land to create an emancipation park to host a future a Juneteenth celebration in a modern day Houston. Isn't that wonderful? This is where we are today. That's why it's important to celebrate this holiday this Saturday. Point number 9. In 1980, the Emancipation Day in Texas became a legal state holiday in recognition of Juneteenth. However, the state offices do not comply, and they don't close it as considered. They consider it a partial staffing holiday. Elsewhere, the holiday is also referred to as Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, Black Independence Day. Many continue to celebrate Juneteenth throughout the nation, and people host cookouts, parades, and other gatherings to commemorate this. So I'm going to talk to you about how you should celebrate it. It is suggested that we celebrate it with an event, maybe in the neighborhood, have a backyard party, cook some good traditional food, support Black-owned businesses, and listen to Black artists. Also, read a book written by Black authors and poets. Watch a Black TV show and movies. Visit an exhibit or museum and dedicate it to Black culture. Juneteenth, as I mentioned to you, has been known as the Freedom Day, Liberation Day, Emancipation Day, Jubilee Day, but every year since the first Juneteenth, former slaves and their descendants would celebrate their freedom across the country. And I'm going to talk to you about the holidays. Believe it or not, there are companies that do celebrate this holiday. My sister told me her law firm, which I was shocked, she's off Friday. I didn't mean to tell you, put it out there, sister, but she's off Friday. So if you need to call her, give her a call. I'm going to give you a list of companies that do celebrate the holiday. JP Morgan, Twitter, General Motors, Google, Spotify, Lyft, the NFL, Postmates, Amazon, Target. So if you guys ordered anything in the mail and you got something from Amazon, you need to send it back. Just kidding. Oh, and JCPenney's. So I'm going to just kind of go over some other ways to celebrate it. And then I'm going to show you 2 quick videos, and then I am done. Okay. So through Juneteenth history, it is based on the history of slavery in the United States, as I mentioned. It is a complicated, multifaceted holiday. It's acknowledged the honors of slavery and the strides that still need to be made. But remind yourself that this is a time to celebrate strong people and step forward. Staying positive attracts more people in the idea of celebration and help to inform people who might not otherwise observe the Juneteenth. Focus on food and fellowship. Talks about maybe visit a historical art museum. Hold a movie marathon. Celebrate, create something together. You know, the things that we used to do when we were growing up. I remember doing arts and crafts and just playing games without this other technology stuff that we have. So let's get back to it. But mainly be enthusiastic in celebrating this holiday, and people will most likely follow it. Now, think about the types of friends and family that you have and how they would most likely enjoy spending this time on Juneteenth. So if you've never celebrated Juneteenth, this would be a time to take advantage of it and to celebrate Juneteenth. I want to go over the states that do not celebrate Juneteenth. There are 47 states and the District of Columbia that do recognize Juneteenth as a state or a ceremonial holiday. And there are only 3 states that do not celebrate this. That is North Dakota, South Dakota, and Hawaii. So they need to get on board. So I'm going to share with you a few videos. Give me 1 second. This is the first one. I think it's really important for you to see. It gives just kind of like a little history of it. So give me 1 second. I'll put it together for you. All right, let's see. This should come on. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, now I do have another little short video I want to show you. Just give me a second. So this is a video of a typical old slave house. So it's not very long. Also affect populations around the Mediterranean, throughout the Arab world, and into the Indian subcontinent. In today's multiracial societies, it is a condition of which everybody should be aware. It's estimated that over 250,000 children are born with sickle cell disease worldwide every year. Sickle cell disease drastically reduces the life expectancy of sufferers who reach the age of current laws of typical symptoms have been recognized for centuries in Africa and are well known to traditional healers. Okay, there's some other little background noise. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the two videos that I showed you. The first one really elaborated about Juneteenth. So please, whatever you do, this Saturday, please, let's celebrate Juneteenth and what it stands for. This is and definitely very memorable for our culture and for us all. Now I'm going to show you just a quick picture of a reenactment of what it was like for Juneteenth for some people. Let me show you this real quick. Okay, that was some soldiers that did a reenactment for a celebration for Juneteenth back during that time. I am very pleased to, oh, I have to show you the general too before I forget. So give me 1 second. Okay, great. All right. So, we got a couple of responses here. Oh, hey, Nicole. Hi. Well, let's see. I'm just so glad that, look, you guys came on and decided to listen to the history. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, give me some feedback that you enjoy the broadcast, and hopefully the information was informative to you. Those are the questions that I hope, to get from my viewers. Let me know if you enjoyed it. And it's so important, please, after you see the broadcast, it still will be available to share it. Always say sharing is caring. So thank you again, Nicole and Kelly, for being a part of the broadcast. You have a wonderful evening and good night. Take care.